Hey Scare friends, welcome back to the Grim Stitch Factory. My name is Cameron. I am the owner, the artist, and the designer of these scarecrow masks you see at grimstitchfactory.com. Back at you with another video. Now I've left a lot of my personas off the camera today. It's just you, me, and this bad boy, and this is the Field Reaper. If you've been on my website, you know what he looks like. This one, however, is a custom design for somebody. They're going to be using it as a standalone prop, so there are a few basic differences. What I want to talk today about, though, is the blood work on these masks, because it's something that I haven't touched on a lot. Now, this particular mask, he's not going to have straw on the head because he's going to be wearing a preacher hat, and having straw up there kind of defeats the purpose because you can't see it when the hat goes on. So there we go. He will have some straw coming down the sides, but he's going to be wearing this preacher hat, which is nice. You can always bend it and flex it and what have you. So there we go. So let's talk about blood, because that's such an integral part of any and all masks. When you're dealing with burlap, you are dealing with a medium that is a little different than silicone and latex. Since I do not work in these mediums, applications of blood do tend to take a little bit longer and need to be worked into stages. Now, the reason for that is burlap is a porous organic fabric material. So anytime you apply blood to it, it sinks right into the burlap, and sometimes it goes right through it. Okay, so it sinks into the burlap, so you need to constantly layer it to bring up the look that you are desiring. Second of all, the intrinsic color of burlap tends to sometimes change the color of the blood when the blood hits it. So you need to consider that. I use 3 types of blood when I am working with my masks. For the base coat, as you see here, I just use, because you know there's so many bloods in the market, you can definitely look around rather, experiment and try. I use one from Smooth On. They produce foams and plastics for molds. This is called Blood Base Ultimate Blood Kit or something. And this blood is, I use that for my base. And as you can see here, it gives a very orangey, rusty color. Now, when I am using it, there's 2 ways to apply this. Let me get my brush out here. There are 2 ways to apply this, and both of them involve my go-to for blood application on burlap, and that is 99% rubbing alcohol. So there's 2 ways of applying this base coat. Way number 1 is to physically soak the burlap in the alcohol. Then you would go in with the raw form, the bottle poured consistency of the blood, and just work it into the wet burlap. That's one way. Equally, you can take your little cup. I use silicone cups because they're reusable, and I don't want to use paper. It's environmental. So I would pour in a certain amount of blood into there. Then I would add 99% rubbing alcohol into the cup to shear it out, and then I would apply it. The results are equally the same. It's just whichever you feel more comfortable with. The advantage of doing the cup method is you can regulate the thickness of the blood before you apply it. Okay, so there is that method. Then, depending upon the actual look of the character and the blood that I'm going for, I would go to stage 2. Once I have filled in the necessary areas with the base coat, which again is a very orangey, rusty look, which I love, I fill that in to the main bulk areas. Then I go into fine tune. One blood that I use also is called Fleet Street. Now, this Fleet Street blood is an amazing blood. I have used it for decades. I used to use it when I worked on special effects set makeup. And this is just the greatest blood for that. Now, keep in mind that it is a drying blood. It's a drying blood. So if you're going to put it on your skin, it will dry. But it's great for Halloween. It's great for makeup. It's great for just putting on your skin as effects. Main reason, because Fleet Street blood does not stain your skin. And it's one of the most realistic bloods you can buy on the market. Let's just see. There comes in 2 versions. This is the dark version. so denoted there. And it also comes in a fresh version, which is just incredible. Let's take a look at some of this. I can put this on my skin because it won't stain me, whereas that smooth on stuff certainly will. So if I'm doing that, there. It is such a realistic looking blood, and you can just tap it in, you can smear it anywhere you want. And of course you can draw hard lines. You can take your fine little brushes here, dab it into the Fleet Street. Once you smear it like that, and you can just draw a quick dark line across your skin like that, and suddenly you've got a slash. This has got nothing to do with Scarecrow mask making. It's just that I did special effects for a while and I kind of like it. So you can get into there, and then you can take your sharp angled brush and you can just drop this thing down like that, and you get a really cool razor effect. Fleet Street, look at that. Nice. So anyway, Fleet Street. So it works great on skin. Looks really realistic on skin, and it works wonders on burlap as well. So again, you can shear this out with 99% alcohol, or you can just go at it, like hardcore, and just apply as is right out of the bottle. For example, take it like this, and you're getting in there, and you're just adding it, and you can add it in as a heavy blood, like right here. So it works in as a heavy blood. Now keep in mind the difference between this and the blood down here, or the blood coming down hard from his eye, okay, is that blood I just applied to Fleet Street will dry and it will lose its gloss. Once I have applied the Fleet Street, either as a wash or as is, and I have also applied my smooth on rusty orange blood, I finish off with a Perma Blood. The Perma Blood is great, and I always use Perma Blood as is, thickness out of the bottle, because that is what I use lastly to give it that thick run, dry blood look, like the drips and the runs. This one still has work to do. I still have work. I still need to add Perma Blood in certain sections here, because I will use the Perma Blood either down the center of a wound, or I will do it on the side of a wound so it looks much like a slash. So I will use the Perma Blood because once that dries, it will dry hard and glossy, okay, and it will look great. So these are the bloods that I use to do the work on the mask. Now when you're working with the mask, and when I apply blood, one rule I have, and anybody who knows my work and has seen my videos knows already, that I only work in brushes. I do not use air brushes for anything. I don't even know how to use an airbrush. I have no idea. I am old school. Every ounce of work that I do on your mask, whether it's applying blood, whether it's applying color or accenting details or getting into the crevices here of the mouth, it's all done in brushes. Okay, so I will take my brushes, again, just to review, I will take my smooth on rust colored blood called the blood base. I will either shear it down here, or I will apply rubbing alcohol to the burlap and then work it in. Then I can use it also as is, thickness out of the bottle, to accent the wash that's already on there. So the first coat kind of acts as a wash, a stain that branches out and feathers into the material, and then I go in with Perma Blood or a Fleet Street to add thickness and like coagulated blood and detail to bring out on the surface the thick blood texture. Okay, so let's give you a quick example. I guess we could probably do some work on this bad boy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just show you the base color here. I'm gonna take a little bit and I'm gonna put it in here. Just put a little bit in there. There we go, okay? And then I got my brush. So let's say I want to add some blood to here, and I want to do a first coat. So what I am going to do is I am going to use the first method. I'm going to take my 99% alcohol and I am going to soak the mask in a certain part and then apply the blood to it. Now again, the reason I use the 99 is because of the drying effect. So you see I'm liberally applying 99% alcohol. Then I go in with my first base coat, the orange blood, and I just start working it in. Okay, and again, you keep the brush twisting. Dance that brush all around so you can get like speckles and spots. Then you can bring your alcohol up and hit it again. Okay, and then it automatically washes it out for you. It's fantastic. It's doing the work. So again, I get in there, make sure I wash it. You can hit the brush directly, or you can angle it to give it a more smeared texture like that. So I'm getting in, and again, it's very important, guys, when you are applying this type of base coat, brush, or even color, it's always important to dance the brush around. Okay, dance it around when you're applying the material. Don't paint it. This ain't a wall. This ain't a, this isn't a baseboard. You want to get in there and you want to dance the brush around. And the important thing is, when you are doing a mass amount of blood on a structure like this, don't limit yourself to one spot. Okay, if I were just doing this and there was no blood on it, I would start here, then I would go down here, add some there, and I'd work the blood in there. Okay, then I'll go back to here. And what I'm doing is dancing the brush around all sorts of spots, and I'm fleshing the blood out so I can see the whole thing come out as one. I don't want to work just one spot, finished, move on, finished, move on. No, I want to work the whole piece at the same time so I can get the visual. The visual starts to come out. The final look starts to emerge before me as I am working on it. So it's very important to do that. So again, we got it there. Let's add a little bit more. Add it down there. And again, reload with a little bit of blood. You don't need a lot. Reload, dance the brush around, get in the texture. Don't worry that there's different levels on degrees of thickness into the burlap. You can always add more. So sometimes less is more. All right, it's easy to add more. If you add too much, can't take it away. So I'm doing that. Now that that's done like that, I could even take my brush, same blood, and I could concentrate it if I want. So here's a big concentration on my brush. So I'm going to target it in there and just bring it down. And again, you want to think like blood. Blood moves in mysterious ways, particularly when it hits something like burlap, because burlap is full of nooks and crannies. So you need to apply the blood. You've got to think like blood and move it through those nooks and crannies, and that means even dancing and moving this brush around, hitting those nooks and crannies as you go down. You want to, I know it's goofy, think like the blood. So you want to move that down, make the blood pattern really irregular, okay? Where would the blood go? Imagine the blood streaming down like veins in your body. Take a look at veins in somebody's body. That's how you move the brush and get it to work that way, because you want the blood to move like that too. Now, the reason I'm using this blood, it's not a Perma Blood, but I'm giving it a Perma Blood design, because when this dries and when I'm ready, it will be a perfect roadmap for where I apply the Perma Blood, which is the final blood that gives it that thick, glossy look. So I'm doing that, move it down there, okay? So just as an example, we're gonna add a little bit more. So for this, I am going to go to rubbing alcohol inside the cup, and then I'm gonna work that texture there's already blood there, and it will dilute the blood that's already there. So now I'm just working alcohol into the already applied blood. Okay, there we go. And whoops, we can always go back to our blood. It's wet still from the alcohol I just applied, and I can go back in and stain it even further. And I'm not using a lot. A little goes a long way. Bring it down. Then once this is done and I'm happy with the look, I will let it dry, and I can either use the Fleet Street to add some darkness, or I will just go in with the Perma Blood here. So again, it doesn't show up too well in the camera, but you want to try to get the blood to move down. Gravity pulls it down through different avenues and areas of the burlap. This is just a quick example. I would definitely and will definitely work more into it, but that gives you a basic idea. Anyway, guys, I gotta run. I gotta finish this mask. It's gotta ship out on Monday, and today is Saturday. So, guys, we will see you real soon. This is Cameron. This is the Grim Stitch Factory, and maybe we'll do more blood tips later. I would go further, but unfortunately I have a YouTube violation, and I can't record anything longer than 15 minutes. Oh, good Lord. 14, 51, 52, 50. We'll see you real soon.